So namaste and welcome viewers. I'm Bhupendra Pantola. You're watching Business World. 60% of world vaccine and 20% of generic medicines are made in India. Although India ranks third worldwide for production by volume, it ranks 14 by value in pharma sector. Reason for such disparity, a recent trend in pharma and prospectus ahead for the sector. We will discuss everything in this program ahead with our expert, Mr. Sudarshan Jain, Secretary General, Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance. Mr. Jain, welcome to Business World.
Thank you very much, Bhupendra. Thank you.
Okay. So my first question will be to you is, what is the recent trend in the pharma sector right now? We are hearing that, the quarterly results are coming good. And even in terms of the stock market, we have seen that there is a very good situation there. Your views and what's the reason behind it, basically?
So thank you very much, Bhupendra. The recent trend is we are looking at our industry total depth. The industry has done very good job during COVID times. We have been able to develop our vaccines, which is a great achievement. Whether Serum Institute is concerned or whether Bharat Biotech, Zydus developed first DNA vaccine in the world, and Bharat Biotech has even developed nasal vaccine, and MCure has developed mRNA vaccine. So India has done very well. We have been able to vaccinate 220 crore of people around the world. And more important was that during this time, India has been able to supply the medicines to 200 countries around the world. So despite the unprecedented situation, I would like to thank all who are involved in the healthcare industry, the government, the regulators, the pharma industry, the doctors, the nurses, the channel members who made sure that everyone received the medicine, which shows the inherent strength, because adversity is the time when you can test the power of the industry. And this is the time where we have done well, and now we have to move to the next step to take the industry to the next level.
Okay, so adversity is the time when the real character is shown, and Indian pharma has stood resilient to it, definitely. If you have to give me what does the 2030 Indian pharma sector look like? What are the market expectations? What would you say over that? Future ahead.
Thank you very much, Bhupendra. You raised the right kind of question that what will this industry look like in 2030? In your introductory comments, you said that we are the third largest in terms of volume and 13th largest in terms of value. The very fact that we are third largest in volume and 13th largest in value shows that we are very good in the branded generic market, but we are not doing as well in the innovation part of the business. And 2/3 of the world market is in innovation. 1/3 is in branded generic and mental innovation. So the critical priority for India is to upgrade the range, whether it is complex generic, whether it is incremental innovation, or whether it is new chemical entities or biologicals and biosimilars. So the first critical priority is we have to upgrade our range in order to move up the value chain. Point number one. Point number two is we are in a medicine business where quality is very important. We should go all out to strengthen our quality systems. So the first recommendation, the government is working on the new Drug and Cosmetic Act. They are working on the Schedule M, which will be implemented anytime, and we should go towards being member of ICH in terms of quality, global quality system. If we start now, we should be able to do by 2030. That's point number two. Point number three is we should get self-reliance in APIs because we are dependent on APIs. There is no diversified supply chain in APIs. So it is important that India should become self-reliant in APIs. In 1980s, we were very good at APIs. Over the periods, we lost that advantage, but government has already taken the initiative with PLI 1. So that becomes very, very important. And the fourth point is, Bhupender, we are very strong today in US, Europe. We should start diversifying our export to China and Japan, which are large markets in the world where our supplies are relatively low. So Core drivers of future growth, innovation, quality, self-reliance, and diversified export portfolio. That becomes important.
Uh, all right. So far, we have dealt with two of the problems. But we were discussing. You have already told that in terms of the generic medicine, India is at par excellence. But when it comes to the branded medicine, that is what needs to be taken care of. Uh, Going further in that line, in terms of advanced molecular research and uh, research R&D being a very capital intensive thing. What do you think that is India spending enough in the R&D program so that we can avail and get to the branded market thing that we are wanting to?
So if you see Indian companies, large Indian companies, they spend 7% of the 7 to 8% of their expenditure on in terms of sales on
Hmm.
research. Globally, as per the global standard, it is very low. Uh, if we look at India, we have got access to quality, affordable medicine. Now we have got a price control and there is a stringent competition.
Okay.
Given the stringent price control, we should liberalize as far as the price control is concerned in India and focus more on innovation and quality. Point number one. Point number two is if we have to move up the value chain, what we need to do, there are four parameters which are very. One, there should be funding support as far as research is concerned from the government. Government announced in the last budget that
Hmm.
the funding support will be provided. We are awaiting the policy which should be announced as far as the funding is concerned. Second, we are saying industry academic collaboration becomes very important because for research to emanate, academia and industry collaboration is important. That is what is being done in most of the countries around the world, whether it is Boston, whether it is Stanford, whether it is San Francisco, Silicon Valley, or whether it is Singapore. It is important that industry academic collaboration becomes fundamental. Second, I already talked about funding, industry academic collaboration. Third is regulatory reform. We take hell of a time for approval of the new chemical entities, new products. Almost it takes double the time in India compared to the rest of the world. So regulatory simplification is very, very important. That's the third area. And fourth is infrastructure. Like say, if you see US, Boston, there are academic institutions, there are good hospitals, there are good engineering colleges, there are good chemistry colleges, biological colleges, which provides an infrastructure to take care of innovation. And that becomes important that we should create clusters and infrastructure to build the innovation together. So innovation ecosystem which takes pharma innovations.
Okay. So infrastructure, academic synergy between the academia and the researchers, the scientists, and the regulatory body. I think there needs to be synergy for the outcome that we are looking forward to. If we have to get into uh, the data privacy part, and because the government is also thinking to come up with Unified Health Interface, and to accumulate the vast amount of data that we have, and then to leverage that data for further clinical trials and other usage. How do you see the role of data privacy in this? Shall there be a different data privacy law for healthcare in the lines of what we have in the US, or what's your views on this?
So the privacy issues are very important as far as healthcare is concerned. So overall data at micro level, yes, it can be analyzed to study the disease trend, to do the clinical research work, to understand what are the future drug requirement gaps which are available. So analysis of macro data and analysis at macro level is fine.
Hmm.
But if individual data is used, so like say someone has got angiography and if that data is published that this guy has got angiography and it is supplied to the private parties, so stent manufacturers start sending the messages, that
Hmm.
becomes a dangerous kind of thing. So personal data and which is the privacy bill is talking about, that personal data cannot be provided for marketing.
Okay.
Macro data can be used for analyzing the trends, but the privacy issues are very, very important as far as healthcare is concerned, because they can be misused, and health is a private subject, health is a personal matter, and hence stringent laws have to be there which guard against usage of privacy laws, which can impact the healthcare structure of the overall person.
All right. So stringent laws for personal data. So basically the data needs to be anonymous, and so that it doesn't have harmful usage. Going forward, you were talking about the innovation in India, the government regulations and the government mandate around innovating and uh, leveraging Indian startup industry. Uh, in the similar lines, medical device policy has come out, and we know that India is highly dependent on imports when it comes to medical devices. How do you see the recent medical device policy acting, and what are the end results that we should expect?
So, if you see, government has been moving in the right direction on certain gap areas in healthcare. So, first they came out with the PLI policy for APIs. Then they came also with the bulk drug policy, bulk drug parks, which have been created in different parts of the country. Very,
Hmm.
very important. Then they came out with PLI 2 policy, which was making global champions out of India. That was a very important policy direction. Then they came out with the draft R&D policy, which laid down the roadmap going forward, included regulatory reforms, included industry academic collaboration, included tech funding is an important area. Hopefully, the funding policy should come in. Government also realized that 80% of medical devices are imported in the country. And
Hmm.
that is an area which is of importance going forward. We have all the facilities. We have got IITs today. We have got good engineers. Why can't we develop medical devices in the country? And instead of net importer, we can be net exporter for medical devices. Medical devices industry is today around 40, 50 years behind what pharma industry was. Like in 1980s, we used to import 80% of pharma products. But today we are exporting $25 billion from India. And exports are as big as domestic market. We earn around 17 to $18 billion of foreign exchange as far as pharma industry is concerned. The critical question is that why can't we do in medical devices? And this policy which has come in will be a good stimulant to
Hmm.
the medical devices sector. In fact, government is also thinking of making a separate drug head for medical devices who will be reporting to Drug Controller General of India. So they are working on regulatory support. They are working on medical devices park. They are working on uh, incentives for medical production. So a lot which is being done, and it is a right step to push forward the medical devices agenda for the country.
All right. So when it comes to the stronghold, India has this thing which no, I mean we can proudly say that only we have that, and that is the integrated medicine thing. Integrated
Integrated,
medicine,
sorry, integrated.
integrated medicine, and the traditional medicines that we have, be it Ayurveda, the entire Ayush thing that we can discuss. And there has been, the health ministry has also been interested to come up with the common standards for such traditional medicines. How do you see the role of traditional medicines in leveraging the pharma sector?
Very, very important, Bhupendra. So if you see the policy search for healthcare, one
Mm.
is like say we are talking, India should be a manufacturing hub for the world, where quality becomes very important. India should be R&D hub of the country. The third area which is important that we should capitalize on the products of natural origin, whether it is traditional products of India or managed products, which can have implications for health. That is the area which has not been exploited well. but that is the thrust area. Ayush is the thrust area of the government. Ayush products played a very important role during COVID time.
Mm.
Prash was there at every home, right,
Uh,
to build the immunity. So it is important that we capitalize. The only two areas which we need to consider. One is proper clinical trial and evidence-based support for Ayush products, right? So many of the tall claims should not be made because it will reduce the credibility of the range. So we should allow and have a regulation where right kind of claims are around, point number one. And point number two is standardize the manufacturing processes to guard against the sub-quality. We have to ensure the quality of the products. We have to standardize the processes. So it becomes very, very clear. It has got a great potential. Ayush and the traditional medicine, India should capitalize on it, and we should work on evidence-based support for the claims as well as manufacturing standards for Ayush products.
all right, all right. Uh, just delving a little deeper into the pharma sector, how do you see the domestic market turning out for the pharma companies? Uh, can we say that there is a good scope in the Indian domestic market? Because lately, what we had was, the price pressure from US and other sort of, not that expected revenue is not coming from the US. So how do you see Indian domestic market for pharma companies doing it, and especially the pharma companies which are focused in Indian market, like um, yeah, if you
So,
can.
Bhupendra, there is a good opportunity as far as Indian market is concerned. So, if you see the market is evolving, we have got a dual burden of disease, both acute diseases as well as chronic diseases. We have got both young and old population.
Mm,
Uh, our 27 years age is there, but enough number of people who are over 60, right? So we have got degenerative problems also like uh, Alzheimer's and all those areas. So India offers a big opportunity both in acute and chronic. Chronic area is not as developed at the moment because the way you treat chronic patient is different than acute patient. And a lot of work which is being done in chronic area like diabetes, cardiovascular medicine,
mm,
cancer therapy, because they require not only medicated support, they require lifestyle support where diet, exercise, yoga becomes very important. And what we need to look as a integrated holistic solution as far as healthcare is concerned. We cannot only just prescribe 3 pills for diarrhea, dysentery, respiratory tract infection for 5 days
mm,
and it gets over. Whereas diabetes, cardiovascular disease, they are lifetime diseases.
mm.
Mental diseases, they are lifetime diseases, and they require a totally differentiated approach for medication. So India is at a transition stage, but India can play a very important role going forward as far as healthcare is concerned.
All right, all right. Let's just go into the new technology of your industrial revolution 4, as we know. So the factors such as AI and uh, other innovative technologies like uh, others are there. What role do you think it is going to play in the the cost effectiveness or in terms of innovative therapies coming out, the clinical trials? How do you think AI will influence this in general?
So Bhupendra, AI will be everywhere, right? So over a period of time, right from drug development,
Mm,
screening the molecules, uh, doing the clinical trials of the product, marketing of the products, AI will play a very important role. Like, see, at this particular moment, we spend around 10 to 15 years to discover a product. Who could have imagined that the product can be developed in a year's time? Vaccine was developed in a year's time.
mm,
Pfizer vaccine got developed in a year's time, and within 13 months, we could develop a product. It is thanks to the digital technology that the screening of candidates was faster. The clinical trials which were done was better. We could analyze the results of clinical trial much faster. We could make the submissions on the product relatively faster. we could get the approval of the new products relatively faster, and we could market the products very faster. So the question is, right from development of the product to the clinical development of the product, to the commercialization of the product, to
Hmm.
analyzing what are the new possibilities of the product. Everywhere, artificial intelligence and digital technology will prevail, which will get better healthcare outcomes as well as help the patient live longer.
Okay. Okay. So, and also from the screening point of view, I think it will be very helpful. The AI part will also play a very good role there also. Uh, if we go on to if we address the elephant in the room, the Indian pharma has somehow, received a backlash after the contaminated drugs where Indian drug, sorry, Indian companies were allegedly, involved in the death of many individuals, be it in Uzbekistan or Gambia, because of the contaminated drugs. Why do you think this happens, and what are the discrepancies that we are not able to address at this point? Although government has given a strong hold and crackdown on this, but still, what are the discrepancies that we need to be, aware of?
So you are right. It was very unfortunate that the Gambia incident was taking medicine and reaching to fatal conclusion is
Hmm.
not right. We have got 10,000 drug manufacturers in the country, and we have got a system of licenses which are given locally.
Hmm.
Health is a state care subject.
Hmm.
Health is a federal subject. However, the government is seized of the matter, and different initiatives have been planned. Government is looking forward to coming out with a drug and cosmetic act which will make schedule and comparable to WHO standards. Point number one. Government is also thinking of working on upgrading the capabilities of drug inspectors all over the country. That is point number two. Also, the steps which are being done is not only of inspectors but overall capability of everyone should go on. Then
Hmm.
government is thinking of coming out with SOPs, standard operating procedure, for doing inspections. So the inspections are very strong. The last minute inspection, the last mile inspection will be
Hmm.
stronger. Government is also thinking of standardizing the IT system across all drug controllers in it. Now,
Hmm.
some of these steps will make difference to take forward the agenda of quality healthcare.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jain. I think we have done a holistic overview of the sector today that what we opted for. Was any last comments or anything that you'd like to convey to our viewers?
So my last comment is we are the third largest in terms of value. By 2030, we should be number one. We are third largest in terms of volume. By 2030, we should be number one in volume. And
Hmm.
among top 7 to 8 countries in the world in terms of value. That's point number one. We are around $50 billion today. We should be around 120 to 130 billion by 2030. We should be able to develop 3 to 4 molecules, new chemical entities out of the country, and we should be able to continue exporting around 65 to 70 billion dollars from India. We should be able to earn around 30 to 40 billion dollar foreign exchange from this industry. This industry is of strategic importance to India, and this industry comes with service orientation. Seva bhav se aati hai.
Ah.
And we should continue making difference to the world, given our philosophy of Vasudev Kutumbakam, one word, one health. I will conclude with that, and this industry is committed to better healthcare outcomes from India to the world and to. Thank you very much.
All right. So good prospectus ahead, and as Mr. Jain mentioned, that the shift from generic to the advanced molecular and the branded medicines, and overall we estimate to reach newer heights. Sky is the limit. Thank you so much for talking to Business World. Thank you so much, Mr.